Welcome back, everybody, to Sweat and Iron. I am Graham, your host, and in this episode, I sit down with my friend Emily, and we discuss a number of things. This is an action-packed, as I'd like to say, action-packed episode. We talk about body dysmorphia. We talk about RP. We talk about Disney World. All right, first of all, before I talk about this anymore, before we get into the episode, I want you to know that now is your opportunity to either skip ahead when you get to Disney World. When we start talking about Disney World, you should just skip ahead. If you want to leave all memories intact, if you want to still believe that Disney World is the innocent place that it is, or that it appears to be, skip ahead when we start talking about it. Because I kid you not, after you hear this story, it's gonna change your life forever. I just know it because I heard it and I'm just like, oh my God. Because I've been to Disney World, I've seen Disney World, and it's the purest thing that I can think of, but not anymore. Anyways, without further ado, enjoy the show. Yeah, how much of the singing did you get to hear?
Just a few little buzz.
If you live in Georgia, you work in Georgia.
I do.
Now, imagine if you got to work with me or near me, you'd be hearing stuff like that all day long. I walk down the hall and I'm just going da 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 da, or I'll just sing a little ditty, and sometimes somebody will be coming around the corner, and it's one of those awkward moments where I stop and look at them and I go,
Just own it.
Yeah.
Own it.
I say, so how much of that did you hear? And they're like, enough to know it was you. And I'm like, great. And I move on.
I'm kind of lucky. I don't really have to interact with people most of the day.
Uh-huh.
And it's just me and my mom in the office for the most part. So it's a judgment-free zone.
It's all good. People I work with, they know who I am. They know that I'm weird, and I like to.
Oh yeah.
I like to think that a bunch of them get a kick out of the fact that I just sit at my desk and I do that all day long. I just randomly do it.
I mean, I do too. I burst into Dolly Parton at any moment just to get through the day.
I don't know about Dolly Parton. I mean,
she's a legend, a living legend, a goddess among women.
Only two movies that I can think of with her. One is the one 9 to 5, and then the other one is what's the one where she's running the bordello?
Oh, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
That's it. Yeah, and Burt Reynolds is the sheriff.
Classic.
Yeah.
It's one of the many things on the list of shows and movies that my parents let me see probably way too early, but it really formed who I am as a person.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. Dolly Parton, I'm obsessed. I mean, I'm like her fifth cousin 4 times removed or something because everyone around here is related.
Mm-hmm.
But she's great. She's good people. Can't go wrong. If you're gonna be ostentatious, own it.
So wait, she's from where's she from?
She's from Tennessee, and I'm from the mountains in Georgia, so everyone within like 50 miles is related, at least one way.
Are they in a relationship with one another too?
I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen. My friend growing up, she's from Alabama, so she gets a pass, but her parents are third cousins, and it just you don't talk about this stuff, people.
Yeah, but when you just said third cousins, I totally heard the South there. The third is the way you say the IR in third.
Yeah, well, I actually talked to people at work today. Normally, I just sit in my office and I do my paperwork. I don't dispatch. I don't interact with customers very much. But today I had to call and place a bunch of orders for parts and equipment. So I got to talk to a lot of people, and they just feel more comfortable if I slip into it a little bit. It makes them feel like they can trust me more, and they'll give me a discount.
And you just did. You just slipped right into it.
Oh yeah, I do that all day. It's like a running joke. Austin will play a clip of something, and I'm a good mimic. I worked at Disney for 2 years, and then I was in a telemarketing office for Hilton for a year and a half. So you have to pass the time somehow. So I got really good at mocking and mimicking people.
Yeah, your stint in the Hilton timeshare thing, that your history in that saved my wife and I a boatload of
Yeah,
money.
yeah, I do what I can because as good as it sounds, it's always a ripoff. It's never going to be a good return on investment. It's more hassle than it's worth, and it's one of those things that sounds great in theory, but then you actually get into the practice and it's a living nightmare. You can't get out of it either.
Yeah, for anybody who's not understanding what we're talking about, Connie got this invitation. We went to Chicago, which is only a couple hours to downtown. So we went into the city, we went to downtown, and they do it at one of their fancy schmancy hotels, which is
Hmm.
on Lake Michigan and the river there. And you got to sit through this 30-minute session. You got to sit around for an hour, first of all.
That's nice. That's
You,
that's easy.
Oh
Lucky.
yeah, yeah. Well, it seemed easy, but then all of a sudden Connie's sitting there and she's just like, "I want to go on vacation," and I'm just like, "Oh no, here we go."
Yeah.
The longer you sit there, the more you want to buy into it, and it happened. And then we get home, and I'm telling everybody about it, and Emily goes, "Don't do it." And I said, "I already signed the papers," and she said, "You have a window of opportunity to get your money back," and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"I'm doing it." The more I couldn't sleep well
Do
that
it.
night.
They get you because they pressure you into thinking that you got to make this decision now. You have to choose now, or you lose all these benefits and savings, and oh, free gift with purchase of timeshare. And you get home and you start reading the reviews and you start hearing the testimonials of people who've been doing it for a while. You start to think, hey, this isn't for me. And usually they have to provide a clause where you have a certain 24 hours, 36, 48, whatever the clause is
Hmm.
for their contract, where you can bail. So always, always read the fine print of anything you sign.
I think they gave us 30 days.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Sometimes
Uh,
it's even shorter. I think with Hilton, you get a week, or at the
Maybe it
time,
was a week.
yeah, when I was working there, it was about a week. But they specifically tell you to never mention that in the sales pitch because most of the time people will regret it.
Oh, they did this creepy thing. The guy called my wife up, and the guy who signed the papers with us,
Hmm.
he did a creepy thing where he's like, "You told me you wanted to go on vacation." And she's like, "I do, and I will, just later."
It gets intense. I mean, I'm a pretty pushy salesperson. I can be if I need to be, and I can schmooze with the best of them. But they push some unethical, very dubious sales pitch tactics to
Oh
people,
yeah, the
and
guy
it
was being
gets
a
so
total
high
dick at the
pressure.
end.
I mean,
He at the very end of the conversation, he was being a total dick. He basically
yeah,
flat out said, "Okay, well, I hope you get a chance to go on vacation." And my wife's just like, "Fuck you."
they're really, really rough. And I get from working that side, the pressure to hit quota is intense. If you don't meet that quota for so many months within a certain time frame, you lose your job.
Oh
And
yeah.
you already don't get your bonus, which I mean, I wasn't making anything for my hourly pay. It was all through commission. So if you lose that, it's just we'll
They were
have
telling us that right after that expo that they were doing,
mhm.
all the guys were going on a special trip to
Oh yeah.
Vegas,
Oh yeah, yeah.
probably to spend their commission money.
Oh yeah. Well, they get these huge. If you work in certain sales departments, my department never got that. We were not special. We were also the only all women department. Not saying that had anything to do with it, but it coincidence. But yeah, the owner sales team would take these trips every 6 months to Carlsbad or Hawaii or to New York City and stay in these beautiful properties, and we're just like, yeah, we work the night shift. We're here by ourselves on the weekends. We have no security. It's fine. It's fine. We're okay.
So let's let's get into what this interview is about, because
Hmm.
Now that everybody knows to stay away from timeshares, whether it's a vacation share or a timeshare, whatever they want to call it, it's a waste of your time. So we're talking to Emily, and Emily has a fan club, and they're probably all smiling right now.
I do. Oh,
yeah.
I'm honored.
So you've got so much that you want to talk about. Let's start with the first two topics.
Okay.
When I got to know Emily, I've gotten to know Emily now. Probably, I don't know you really well, Emily, but I feel like I know you a lot better since we've talked off and on for the past, I don't know, 5-6 months.
Oh yeah, I mean, in the last, we all kind of came together in the group year and a half ago. I'd say year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad with dates, but it feels like everybody's really gotten to know each other, at least on a superficial level, and we know everybody's background. So it is like a nice support network where we have that freedom to really speak our minds and talk about our struggles and successes, and it's an open space where a lot of things get said that would not get said publicly on a personal Facebook wall. This is the, dare I say, safe space where you can let it all out.
Mm-hmm. Well, in talking to you, I found out some stuff that I didn't know about. Other people knew about it. I mean, Connie knew because women talk, but I didn't know that you had an eating disorder, and I didn't know that you had body dysmorphia. And I've interviewed one other person who briefly discussed her body dysmorphia, and that was Stacy when we discussed her gastric bypass.
Right. And I listened to her podcast and I thought, oh, this really resonates. I mean, it's such especially among women, you hear body dysmorphia and it sounds like this big, scary term. But when women sit down and, have these discussions about how they feel and their confidence and their self-esteem and all these ways in which we perceive ourselves, it's really more common than people think. Not just among women. I know many men who will look in the mirror and they don't see what is there. And it's such a prevalent issue that it's really a shame that it's not discussed more seriously. I think a lot of people think it's a made up kind of delusion. I don't know how else to describe it, where, it's especially in the social media culture where people are looking for attention. I'm fishing for compliments, but no, I genuinely, when I look in the mirror, I see this person no matter what I do. And it's destructive in ways people can't even really imagine.
Yeah. According to Mayo Clinic, there are over 200,000 cases of body dysmorphia diagnosed every year.
I'm shocked it's not more. I mean, especially with the prevalence. And I haven't spoken to a person recently who has not had some form of it, where it is on a scale, I would say. Some people, it really, really impacts their decision making, and other people, it just causes some various confidence issues. But for people like me, where it really eats away at your personal image of who you are and your mental ability to process what you see as reality. And that really has been one of the harder things to address, especially with Austin being, he has a psychology major beyond being a health coach and a personal trainer. That was the hardest thing to address. The eating disorder was big, but the dysmorphia is the more ingrained, entrenched, long-lasting problem in day-to-day life.
Here's something interesting that I didn't think about, but okay, with body dysmorphia, you're constantly focused on your image, how you look. You're always, would you say it's a negative outlook? Like you're never good enough? Like,
Absolutely.
So Here I go, Larry. Here I go, Larry. I'm about to say something. In this article I found, Larry, he always gives me crap. He's like, here we go. Graham's about to read another article. Okay, so I found an article where they compare OCD and body dysmorphia. When in fact, because body dysmorphia causes a person to become obsessed with, it's a preoccupied image of possible, they think that there's a defect or a flaw in their appearance. They become so obsessed with it that it becomes a they say body dysmorphic disorder is categorized by the most current diagnostic and statistical manual, the DSM-5, as obsessive compulsive related disorder, which means that the symptoms are similar to, but not exactly the same as OCD. Very fascinating.
It is, especially in my case. I was diagnosed with OCD when I was 7. So it's all tied together. For me, the OCD was kind of the originator. That was what led to me having the anorexic tendencies toward my food. And then as I got older and the culture of evaluating my own body and looking at myself, it progressed into my own image of who I was and how I looked. So it was hyper fixating on minute, stupid things and logically knowing that this is ridiculous, but you can't stop. You keep going in an endless feedback loop of, this is what I think. Everyone's telling me that I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong in my heart of hearts, but I can't stop it. It's just a spiral.
It says here that that body dysmorphic disorder usually causes people to engage in some sort of repetitive compulsive behavior. Did you have any tics? I guess that's what I would call it, but I don't know if I'm using the right word. They say that maybe you changed your clothes a lot during the day. Maybe you looked in the mirror too many times. It could be picking at your skin constantly.
It's a lot of things. For me, it was I would bite my nails constantly. And that was my big, if I can't control my food, or because for me, the body dysmorphia and the anorexia were hand in hand BFFs, ruining my life. These little gremlins that were eating away at me.
Well, they fed off each other.
Exactly. It's just, it's like watching a tennis match. Who is going to win today? Who is going to win this battle? Because I'm just the ball getting tossed back and forth.
Okay.
But I bit my nails and I would fixate in the mirror and I would pinch where I thought I was fat. I would stand there in the mirror and evaluate how I looked every day. I had a full length mirror, and I would measure multiple times a day with a tape measure. I had a little notebook, and I kept it on my dresser. And every day when I got up, measure, look, pinch.
Wow.
And then when I got ready for work, because I worked nights for a long time.
Yeah.
I would do it all over again. I would measure, pinch, record, make a note of what I think was wrong with me. And it set the stage for the entire day, especially when I was working the way that I was. Because I spiraled the worst when I was still working in Florida. I didn't see my family for 2 years. I was moving every 6 months. It was just hectic and it was easy to hide.
How old were you then?
I was 22 when I moved to Florida.
How old are you now?
I'm 28 now.
Okay.
So this was my first time. I'd moved away for college, but then I really moved out of state and I was by myself. No one was around to consistently keep an eye on me because I lived with people who were working equally insane hours.
That's a lot of stress for an individual who currently is undergoing all that mental stress already.
It just got worse because here I am. I'm in a new place, new state, by myself. I don't have any friends there with me. I just packed up and I went. New job. The culture is, and I love Disney, but it also was both the best and worst time of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have to categorize it into the good memories and the things that really negatively impacted me.
What part of Florida?
I was in Orlando, so
Okay.
I was in it. I
My
was in it.
grandmother lives. She lives in St. Cloud,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had friends
and
there.
when this has nothing to do with body disorders, mental disorders, eating, but when I went down to visit her, last time I went to visit her was right when Kanye and I were starting to date. So that was in 2011, 2010. And when I went down there, the only thing I can remember is everybody had a pickup truck.
There, yeah, it's the boonies in comparison. It's a beautiful place. Like we
Oh,
would
yeah.
get out of Orlando just to get a break from the chaos, because Orlando is this microcosm of people running away is what I describe it to people who ask me what it was like. It's a microcosm of Peter Pan syndrome.
Really?
No one grows up, no one matures. They live in a world of fantasy, which in theory is great. But the reality is everyone is not being held to a realistic standard. And no one is calling anyone else out on their flaws, because you just don't do that. So it was really easy to get away with just not eating. And the fact that I wore a costume all day, every day, I didn't have to pick my clothes. And because it was a warehouse of costumes, you just grabbed one in a close enough size and wore it to work. It was easy to hide.
Wait, what were you doing in Florida for a job?
I worked at Disney World.
You worked at Disney World?
Yes, for 2 years.
What costumes?
I worked at Toy Story Mania, so I wore the peanut butter and jelly striped polyester mandarin collared unisex huge costume. I wore an extra small, and it came to my knees and my elbows for the shirt. So it was easy to hide that I was getting to a point where I was not healthy. I was 85 pounds at my lowest. I mean, I'm 5 feet tall, so that's not an absurd.
It was peanut butter and jelly?
It looked like it was like tan and red and blue and just, we called it peanut butter jelly.
First thing that comes to mind is the peanut butter and jelly song from Family Guy.
And a baseball bat. Oh yeah.
I don't know why that popped in my head just now.
Yeah.
Totally random.
You got to get through the day with that. But, just wearing these polyester costumes in the Florida heat.
Oh my gosh.
On your feet. I mean, I wore a pedometer, and I would walk 10 miles in a day in a shift. An 8-hour shift, it's 10 miles, just walking, because you can't sit.
I believe that. Did you get hot and sweaty?
Oh my God. People don't know sweaty. They just don't know. You're wearing a glorified garbage bag, and you have to pretend you're enjoying yourself and happy and smiling and portraying the magic, but you just are so tired.
Inside you're miserable.
So, yeah, and you don't get regular bathroom breaks, so you don't drink a ton of water, and your lunch break is 30 minutes, and there's never enough room in the break room to sit down, so you don't eat. So it really created the perfect storm.
And it was a minimum wage probably?
Oh, yeah. I started it. I was a college intern, so I made below Florida minimum wage because I interned.
Oh, so they could get away with paying you as a student or whatever.
Exactly. So I made nothing. Eventually I moved up, but it was a rough job. And it's still rough for the people who are there. And I was broke. I was stressed. I was working 100 hours a week. I think my record was 130 hours in a week with a 23-hour shift.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was layer upon layer of let's take on as much stress as we can and sacrifice where we can. And I just survived on black coffee, zero Monster, and then I'd go out at night and have a Zinger Mountain Melt and a bunch of beer, and then start it all over the next day.
Oh my gosh. So how many years did you do this for? And
I was at Disney for 2,
you were at
and
Disney
then
for 2?
I finally broke after 2 years and went to Hilton and got a desk job, and it was better, but it was a different kind of stress. So it was the same kind of endless cycle of, okay, I'm going to take a job that I don't get breaks. I don't get regular lunches. I'm under pressure to make money. If I don't hit a goal, I don't get paid. So I'm going to work through lunch. I'm going to work through this break.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to make an excuse of, oh, I don't need to eat. I need to make money so I can pay my bills. And it just made sense in my head. And looking back now, I know how insane that was, but at the time, it seemed perfectly logical to me. But it did do some damage. I mean, I knew there was a problem, but I didn't want to face it, I think is the situation. I was in denial that it was as bad as it was.
Yeah. So, yeah, it does sound, I mean, it just sounds like it was one thing after another that just piled up.
It was.
And,
Yeah.
thank you. All right. Can you close the door? Did you step on this? No? Okay.
Important questions.
I need to start locking the door because they're both at it. I mean, she's old enough that she has no problem with doors. He just bursts right in, just goes, la, 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 la. And I'm just like, oh my God.
It's a beautiful age.
She found this nail. I don't even know where this came from. It's this, oh wait, I know where it came from. Callie, can you stop opening the door and just, oh, okay.
She has
Hang on. She does. Did you hear her?
I did.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm trying to put my clothes in the hamper.
Oh, okay.
And I don't have a hamper in my room.
Well, why not? Where'd it go?
Oh, Mommy took it down.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Good job. You're welcome.
Way to try. That's a
Way to try. Mommy took her hamper downstairs for laundry day, and so she's like, I had to put my laundry in your hamper, and I'm like, okay, good job. And she goes, and she smiles, and she goes, thank you.
Oh, good, bravo.
Okay, so yeah, it sounds like everything it was one thing after another that just added to the giant boulder of stress that was on your shoulders.
Yeah.
When did it all actually start? Because the diagnosis here, when they say they diagnose people, usually people are diagnosed later on, but it turns out that it starts in adolescence. So is there a time you can recall when it actually started?
Oh, yeah. So I grew up in gymnastics and ballet and competitive swimming. So the 3 things where you're constantly in a leotard and everyone can see everything about you.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I started that at 2. So
those things show everything. I mean, if you have any roles, it's like, forget about it.
It's not forgiving. And I was going through photos this weekend with my family, pulling stuff up for the wedding. And I was looking at pictures of myself thinking, oh my God, I thought I was fat then. I remember vividly standing next to my friends and thinking, oh my God, my thighs are huge. Oh my God, I'm so big compared to, Susie Q over here. And I remember feeling like that because I remember wearing the certain leotard in the photo, and I was 8.
But were you really, or was this more of your mind?
It was my mind. I was a very normal child. I mean, I never had the quote unquote chubby face ever. I mean, I was a healthy, average kid. I mean, I stopped growing when I was 8, and that probably played a part of it because everyone else grew into their baby weight and I didn't grow. So everyone else got long and lean and tall, and I just felt awkward and stout and, like a little Shetland pony in a field of Arabians. I mean, it was hard around because people in my area are generally pretty tall, and I come from a tall family, which is ironic. But like my mom is tall, her family's all tall, my grandmothers are all tall, and then here's me, and I'm short, I'm stout, I got the lucky dwarf gene. But
Yeah, you always make fun of yourself saying that you're a dwarf.
I
Which I
mean,
always get a kick out of. Are you really a dwarf, or are you just short?
I'm technically, if I hadn't had the growth hormones as a kid, I would have been,
Uh-huh.
because I do have a pituitary tumor. It's benign. It doesn't grow. It doesn't cause any problems other than the fact that I don't produce enough of my growth hormones. So that's why I'm short. My dad's the same way. His mother's the same way. Her mother and father were equally tiny people. I mean, it's a genetic thing. She's 4'8", so I got really lucky to be 5 feet. So, I mean, it was a close call.
No,
Especially,
I thought that people hated being called dwarves, though.
I mean, it's technically pituitary dwarfism. You call
Okay.
a spade a spade. You're you're proportionate. You don't have any of the foreshortening of the limbs, the enlarged head. You don't have any of the typical. When people think of dwarf, they usually think of achondroplasia, where you have the short torso, the regular torso, short arms and legs, and then the enlarged head. But you can be a medically classified dwarf under 4'10". So technically, my grandmother her mother was 4 feet on a good day. So it's a genetic thing. And my dad, thankfully, is 5'2". So a literal giant among men. But thankfully, I had enough of my mom. She's 5'7" to kind of balance that out. And then when I stopped growing at 8, they gave me a couple of years of additional growth hormones to kind of try and get me taller. I made it 2 more inches and stopped. So it is what it is. But it did kind of take a toll, especially because I have a cousin who is a literal bikini model, who is 6'2" and just, bazinga, just perfect. 10 out of 10. You couldn't ask for a more typical perfect physique. And here I am, a foot or so shorter, kind of stout and chunky looking, but I'm also a lot more muscular than her. So
There you go.
that was what I didn't realize at the time, because I do put on muscle easily. No one ever told me that. I had defined quads at 8 years old because I was doing gymnastics. I had horses. I was swimming. I did all these things that are conducive to putting on muscle. And
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, were you doing all these activities during Disney, or was this after Disney?
Before. This was growing up as a kid and before I moved away for college.
Okay.
Yeah, all my life.
Well,
All that.
then so you belong to a gym, right?
Yes.
So how long have you belonged to a gym? How long have you been going to a gym? Let's just say that.
To a gym, 3 years, I'd say. Not long. I'm still technically a novice in terms of lifting. I didn't start going consistently until Austin and I moved in together in 2015, 16, late 2015, January of 2016, I think. And that's when he started teaching me to lift for the first time. I had never had anyone show me or teach me. I'd always run. I'd swim and I would run. I'd never lifted weights. I knew how to do push-ups and pull-ups and things from gymnastics. That was just kind of a natural progression. But I was the cardio bunny, just running and running and running all the time. So learning to lift was tough. But once I finally got it down, I've been consistently going since mid 2016.
Was was the big push for cardio your issues,
I thought it was going to make me thin. That was always the goal, and I didn't care what it took to get that way. I thought something in the mirror was wrong, and that was the only way I knew to fix it, was to cut my calories and up my expenditure. So I was working that crazy job where I'm working 10, 12 hours a day or more usually, and I'm walking and walking and walking all day. And then I'd go home because I was opening where I was at that point. So I'd get to work at 4:30 a.m. I'm off by 1:30 usually. And then I would go run. And I would run and continue to run. And then meet everybody for drinks and maybe a salad or a slice of pizza. And then I'd go to bed and get up and do it all over again. Just, I slept maybe 5 or 6 hours, maybe. That was a good night, usually less. It was just...
I don't understand how people can do that.
I don't know how I did it, because now I sleep like 10 hours a night and I still could go for more. So I don't know how people do it.
I know how you feel. I mean, there were times in my life when if I can't get 8 hours of sleep now, I don't necessarily feel it right away the next day. I'll feel it later on in the day, and then the very next day I'll be like, oh my God, it feels like a delayed effect.
It's like a hangover from a lack of sleep. And
that's what Connie tells me.
It's just the worst. And, maybe it was because I was so young and I had that stupid energy where, I don't need sleep. I'm fine. I'll just have more coffee. I'll do an energy shot. I'll be up on my feet and I'll feel fine. And it was like a second wind. But I was drinking 3 or 4 Zero Monsters a day.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and just to get through a shift, because it was high stress on top of the stress of living day-to-day life. So it's
like one can every couple hours.
Yeah, every time I went to the office, to our base, before I went back out to do my job, I would chug one. And then I would go out for a couple of hours, come back, do it again. And that was what kept me going, because I was so tired and I was so depressed and so frustrated, and just no one said anything, and there was no one to say anything, because I'm living with roommates who were my friends, but they're working opposite shifts, so we never saw each other. So It was just me running amok is the only way to describe it.
You were alone with your thoughts.
Yeah, and
they weren't the best thoughts.
It was a rabbit hole, and just tumbling and falling.
So you were counting your calories. Now, I've heard from people that counting calories is not always the best thing for some people, especially if you have an underlying disorder such as anorexia or bulimia. If you have some sort of mental trigger that makes you not do something
it
healthy.
Goes haywire. Yeah. And even when originally Austin was trying to help me on his own, and then he found Avatar. He said, okay, this is going to be easy for you. This is something you will understand. It's analytics. You speak this language, you'll get it. Mm-hmm. And it did make sense to me logically, but for me, if it fits your macros, does not work mentally. It works in terms of me hitting a goal, but I have a trend where if I am given the free rein to eat, I have a blank canvas of the day. This is how much of this macro I need to eat. These are just my total calories. This is for me to fill how I want. I'll hoard. I won't eat all day, and then I'll just binge at night, or I'll just not eat at night because, I want to save those calories. I might need them. Mm-hmm. I'm in this constant mindset of a shortage. It's like a person who has been starving and is afraid where their next meal is going to come from. They want to save a little bit of what they've got just in case they don't get it again.
Yeah, but that can make it worse, because then you're just like, no, not yet. No, not yet.
And that's exactly what I did. I mean, especially because we all know about my epic avatar reverse from hell, where I got up to 3,000 calories, 3,200 calories at my size. And mentally, it was a good thing because it made me realize, I can eat this much.
Can you
But
can you go over that, like
yeah,
exactly how it happened, just for anybody who doesn't know?
because I originally lost with Avatar. I did their fat loss and I lost about 5 pounds. I went from 126, 127 to 121.
Hmm.
And I thought, this is great. This is awesome. And that was when the gospel of the great reverse was revealed to us. And they're pushing everyone to reverse. If you're not gaining, keep pushing. If you're not gaining, keep pushing. So I did, because I thought, okay, if I get my calories high enough, when I cut and do a fat loss again, I'm never going to get to that mental starvation mode. I'm always going to have this mental satiety, so I'm not going to go into those old habits. So my logic was kind of there, but it didn't really work. I only gained 2 pounds reversing from 1,700 calories to 3,200.
Hmm.
The problem was when I began to maintain, because their system with the weekly check-ins, it just assumed I was gaining. So it just kept dropping my calories. I would gain a quarter of a pound just from water weight, and it would cut my calories 400 and then another 400. So within 4 weeks, I was down to 1,700 calories from 3,200. So I was right back where I started, and I gained weight that entire time because my body was probably panicking because, okay, we're getting this substantial cut in food. Why? Why is this happening? We need to probably reserve what we've got. So I gained a ton of weight maintaining. I got it to about 135 pounds, which
Wow.
I had never hit before. I've never been an obese person or even overweight. That was the first time in my life that when I put in my BMI, it said overweight. I panicked. And if Austin hadn't have pulled me back, I would have gone right back into my old behavior of just no food. This just has to stop. I can't keep doing this. I'm going to go back to doing what I know works. No food, cardio, exercise, keep going, push, push, push.
Hmm.
Thankfully, he's the sane person in the relationship, because that's not my designated role. And he said, okay, stop. You need to stop doing this. We need to get you away from Avatar. This doesn't work. This is not good for you. And then he found the Greg Nuckols toolkit, which he did for me. He said, you are not in a place mentally where you can make a good decision. And I agreed with him. It's true. I still have issues where I will make a bad decision if left to my own devices. So he's kind of been babysitting me through this whole process for the past couple of years. And I used the toolkit. I lost about 5 pounds. So I was down to about 130, 129 in that area.
Hmm.
And I did that all through the summer. Really enjoyed it. I reversed with it, had great success, lost with it, maintained with it, really enjoyed it. But then in August of last year, he said, you know what, let's just do this. It's your birthday. Let's spring for Renaissance. And I knew all about it. This is all he talks about is fitness and exercise and experts in the field. So I knew who Mike Israetel was. I knew who Nick Shaw was. I'd followed them. I'd followed their wives. I've followed that whole community for a while.
Hmm.
I just didn't think it was something meant for someone like me who was still an amateur. But the structure of the way that RP has you eat is what I needed. Where I have, even on fat loss, this is what I need to eat for my first meal. I have this much protein, this much fat, this much carbs, and this many veggies to eat. This is what I focus on instead of a per day allotment. Okay, I go meal to meal. This is what I need. I can't hoard. I can't save. I can't skip. I can combine if I need to,
Hmm.
but I need that structure throughout the day to make sure I eat and to make sure that I eat enough. because I am really bad about skipping breakfast and sometimes lunch, just depending on work. So it's been a huge step forward.
And how long have you been doing RP?
I played around with it through the end of August last year, and I started my first dedicated fat loss second week of September. And I ran 10 weeks, not the full 12 that they recommended. Mentally, I just couldn't handle the full 12 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the holidays were coming up, so I decided, I'm just going to maintain. I'm going to focus on that through the holidays. Mentally, that's what I need to do. And first round with RP, I lost 8 more pounds, maintained within a 2-pound range for 2.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm doing my second cut with them, which is a lot slower, but I'm still down 4.5, 5 pounds, but probably 5% body fat. So it's pretty significant for someone my size. And
Isn't that amazing?
It's bizarre.
It's kind of a mind fuck, isn't it? You're thinking to yourself,
yes.
You want that number to move on the scale, and you're like, fuck, I'm not making any progress. And then you check your body fat, and it's like, what just happened?
And I haven't even really been keeping track of measurements or anything, but just eyeballing it and having Austin do my measurements for me, because again, I'm still not in a place where I really need to be looking at that. That's not something that's important. I need to not focus on the numbers and the data.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel great. I look great. I mean, and mentally, it's been huge because I don't feel deprived. And that's been huge.
Now, I know that body dysmorphia aside, if you can, because I think it's one of those things. I say that because is it possible for you to try to put body dysmorphia aside? I guess I should ask that. Is it one of those things where you got to think real hard, or is it occasionally you do have these normal thoughts, or how does that work?
I'm getting to that point where what I see in the mirror is real.
Okay.
And I had a day about a month ago. I had been doing the cut for 4 weeks because I'm on, I think, week 8 right now. So it was about 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked in the mirror and my whole body had changed. And
that's where I was going with it. I was wondering, did you notice the change first, or did somebody else point it out to you, and this without body dysmorphia telling you, those negative thoughts? No, I gotta push harder. Or was it? I'm trying to phrase my question in a certain way.
Was it internal or was it an external thing that kind of clicked?
Yeah, kind of, because you know how they always say that somebody notices before you do, and that's been happening with me lately with my fat loss. And I mean, we're apples to oranges here because you've got your troubles that you have to get through mentally.
Exactly.
And I don't have those, so it's a little easier for me to grasp onto and be like, oh, really? Okay, no, thanks. But for you, it'd be like,
yeah.
It would be a little bit harder for you to actually accept that. You would be like,
believe it.
You'd be like, oh, that's funny, man.
It's full of it. I mean,
what crack pipe are you smoking?
But really, I mean, it's this imposter syndrome where, I would go to the gym and someone who hadn't seen me in a while be, you look great. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, are you high?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I mean, can you take those as a compliment? I mean, would you take them as a compliment?
You can take it, but you still are just kind of like, oh, I mean, okay, you're just being nice. You're
always in denial.
It's just, exactly. You can't believe it's true. It kind of has to come from a place inside yourself where you have that moment of realization. And I'd seen the scale going down a little bit, and I knew this was going to be slower and harder than my last cut, because I am getting down to that level of leanness where it's going to be a bigger challenge every time. It's not going to be that dramatic of a scale change, but composition-wise, it's going to be huge. And I started seeing my clothes totally change. And I have clothes that are, 15 years old because I don't throw things away because I'm cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to grab a pair of jeans that I have not worn since we bought our house in 2016. and I pulled it out, and they just went on.
Oh,
And I
wow.
remember a few years ago when I put them on, and they wouldn't zip. I couldn't get them over my butt, and it was this humiliating moment. And now they're just I wear them every day, and they're comfortable, and it's fine, and they fit.
You know that there's this video of a lady trying to put on skinny jeans. I'm trying to remember.
Skinny jeans.
She's like, maybe it wasn't skinny jeans, but it was like a size smaller than what she was supposed to. And it was, she's really trying to put them on. She gets them over her calves. Then she gets it up onto her quads.
Mm-hmm.
She really is trying. She's on her bed. She's jumping up and down. She finally gets it up, and then she tries to button it. And I can't remember if she does. I don't know if you know this video I'm talking about.
It sounds familiar.
It went viral. It's like a 5-minute video of this woman trying to put on pants that she really shouldn't be wearing. That's kind of what I'm picturing when you're trying to put those pants on, but I don't think it was so exaggerated. But
I mean, you ask any woman what it's like to put on skinny jeans, and I mean, we all have the pants dance where you're trying to get them on, because
the pants dance.
it's like they're painted on now. And I wear pretty loose jeans. Spandex and I have a deep hatred after many years together, from the leotards of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just seeing the scale go down was not enough. I felt like I wasn't changing, and I wasn't seeing my measurements because I felt like I wasn't progressing fast enough looking at the measurements, because I'm fixating on, oh, well, my hip is still the same, or, oh, my
Mm-hmm.
thigh is still the same. Instead of saying, okay, yeah, but look how much leaner it looks. Look how much more weight you can lift, how many more reps you can do. So I've been focusing more on that. But there was just that one day where I looked in the mirror and I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
What? It's like I walked into a room and came back and just, oh my God, that's me.
Where have I been this whole time? I don't know.
It was just this revelatory eureka moment. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way to really, unless you've experienced it, it's really hard to describe this, of seeing yourself for the first time, and realizing that the entire history of your visual of yourself has been skewed. It's been a biased view that has not been accurate, and you've been so hard on yourself over nothing.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine how that feels when you have that moment.
It's an epiphany. I mean, it's just, wow, all this work has been worth it. And
Mm-hmm.
and mentally that's been huge, because I'm not worried about, oh God, I'm not gonna look good enough, I'm not gonna progress fast enough, I'm gonna have to do this all over again, thinking so far ahead of, well, where I want to be, that I'm not appreciating where I am now. And I have a friend who has been a big motivator for me, and she has some eating disorder tendencies as well, and a lot of the same characteristics. She's just a lot younger than me, and we kind of bolster each other's confidence and confide in each other about that. And she had me start sending her pictures of, side by side, this Saturday to this Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
do you see a difference? And having a second pair of eyes of someone that I know is going to be honest with me, and not, she's my friend, but she's not going to tell me something just to spare my feelings, which you worry about with people you're close to. You kind of want that unbiased third party to just give it to me straight. I don't sugarcoat it. And
Where did you find this friend?
we met when we were both in Avatar together.
Okay.
And I'm not going to call her out because I didn't ask her for permission, but she's great.
Oh, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I was just wondering. I didn't know if you met him in a support group or what. I don't care what their name is.
No. I haven't gotten into any support groups or anything. I don't do well in those. I get really antsy.
Okay.
It's really triggering, for lack of a better word, and talking to people who are still really deep.
I always thought that about those groups. I don't know what it was. I just feel like it's almost as if somebody's story kind of feeds somebody else's motives. I don't know.
It does. And especially when everyone there is is mentally deep into it enough that they're seeking validation from people who know what to say
Mm-hmm.
and what to really egg them on with. And, I'll talk to people now who, I know they have the same struggles, and we talk about it, and I try to be uplifting, but sometimes I have to say, I want to be there for you, but I need to take a step back for my own well-being, because this is affecting me and my recovery and my progress. I need to not be in this myself. You can't be that person for somebody if you're not able to recognize when you have a trigger come up or something that's going to spur you into making a really poor decision. So that's really the hardest part, is recognizing, okay, here's what my mind is thinking. Here's what drives me to make these decisions, and recognizing, okay, I'm depressed right now. Why am I depressed? What do I want to do that I'm depressed?
Mm-hmm.
I have this going on in my life. And a lot of people journal. They find that really conducive, or having, kind of like I do, where I have, like a quote, sponsor, or somebody you can confide in and talk to and say, hey, this is what's going through my mind. And they say something to pull you out of it. Kind of like having a safe word of, Bananarama, get out of it. You get out of this singular train of thought.
Pineapples.
Yeah, flamingo.
What is that? Okay, we need a side trip here. Can you entertain me for a minute here? Because I know that if there's one thing I know about you, I know you like random thoughts like I do. So
all the random thoughts.
It was either a TV show or a movie where the two people were having sex for the first time, and they were trying to figure out it was going to be like weird sex, and the safe word was pineapples.
Oh, God. I know.
I was having this debate at work, and I couldn't remember what it was.
I'm going to have to Google it. That's just safe word, pineapple. Safe word. Train wreck.
Is that what it is?
Apparently. 2015 movie. Pineapples.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know. I hear every time somebody says safe word, I always want to say that now.
It's like, what? Like, you need a safe word? I don't, just yell loudly.
Pineapples!
Vladimir Putin!
Oh, that's great.
Oh, God.
That would be weird if you were in the middle of having sex and that's the safe term.
Oh, my God. Living with roommates, I heard some weird stuff. So, I mean, you put 8 people in a 4-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms. I mean, you just hear things.
Okay, I got to tell you this story, and then we could get back to talking about you. There was an episode that I did with somebody, and I told them I was going to, don't let me forget, I could tell you about the captain story. I am like 30 episodes later going to be talking about it now. And what it was in college, the apartment buildings, I don't know about your apartment buildings, but in my college, the apartment complex I lived in, the bedrooms were practically just, they're stacked on top of each other. And the vent was directly above my bed where I had my bed. And then I could hear everything in the room above me through the vent. And the lady who lived above me, there were 2 ladies that lived above us, and they were stoners. They were always smoking pot on the balcony. We could always smell it wafting down. And this one particular night, I smelled the pot coming down. And so I went to bed and thinking that they were just up there getting stoned. Later, I'm still trying to fall asleep, and I hear through the vent, you hear the rocking noises, and I hear through the vent, "You're the captain! You're the captain! You're the captain!" And I'm just like, oh my God. The picture's going through my head.
It was a missed opportunity to yell ahoy.
Ahoy. Ahoy there, matey.
Ahoy, avast ye hearties.
Could you imagine if she was actually wearing like a pirate hat?
Oh, with a little plastic sword and an eye patch.
Oh my, no, the hook.
I have a visual. Oh, God, that's fantastic. Oh.
There you go, Larry. There's your fantasy.
There you go. I mean, I went to a pretty boring college. I mean, it was like 75% female, so it was really boring. My adventure started when I moved to Florida. It was, whoa, that was an experience. You just, oh, wow. You can't unsee some things.
Oh, yeah?
Oh,
What's the weirdest thing you saw down there?
Oh, God.
Could you say weirdest thing, or would you say like top 5 things?
It'd probably be like a top 5, but it's really hard to rank. Well, if you're a child or a small child, walk away. Just walk away now. You can never unsee 2 Peter Pans going at it backstage. You just can't.
What?
You can't. Yeah, like, well, the characters at Disney World go around backstage in costume because putting that on is a pain in the butt.
Uh-huh.
And if you're a guy in entertainment at Disney, it's an unspoken thing. You're gay until proven otherwise. It's just, that's Orlando. And there were 2 Peter Pans who were together, and they got caught a lot in costume, which was just bizarre. It was like a weird kink for them. And then Gaston and his boyfriend, the guy who played Goofy. So it was.
That's weird.
It was it ruins your childhood.
Did he not get out of the Goofy costume?
He took the head off.
Oh,
that's
something at least.
That's, small mercies. But I mean, it was just. The dark underbelly of Disney is really just.
You know what? We're planning a trip to go there with the kids next year, and now I'm gonna be thinking of gay twinks and bestiality.
Because it's just because I went last April to visit my best friend who still lives and works there. God bless her. I don't know how she does it, but. I didn't visit for 3 years after I moved away, and moving back or visiting and being back and seeing people that I worked with who, I still talk to really regularly. And it's just, it changes things when you've seen behind the pixie dust. It just ruins the image, and it's a beautiful place. I had a great time. I always tell people you have to go at least once, especially with your kids, before they lose the magic. But, oh my God, when you start knowing what to look for, it's really disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody is so broke that works there. Everyone is so broke. But it's a scary place if you work there, because there's nothing else to do that you can afford to do. So you go to Disney. So it's your life. It's where you spend your money. It's where you make your money. It's everything. And it's just this bizarre fantasy reality hybrid that no one escapes. If you get out, you're lucky, but most people never leave. It's like escaping Neverland, because nothing. Wow. It really is. And people think I'm exaggerating. I'm like, no, it's really messed up. And the people are struggling, so they make some bad decisions. Everyone has a drinking problem.
Oh yeah.
Just assume that water bottle does not have water in it. I'm just putting it out there.
So Emily, let's before we destroy any other thoughts of Disney.
That's my job,
Let's at least hope that Tinkerbell's not doing. Is Tinkerbell doing something?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Okay.
Let's
leave the princesses alone then.
Leave them alone. Some of them are pretty nice.
There we go. We go.
And Mickey Mouse and Minnie are very nice.
Well, that's great. Okay, so what I want to know, here's what I'm really interested in knowing, is how are you dealing with anorexia now that you've found something that would you say that this has been sustainable for you then, since
Yeah.
So then
yeah,
the anorexia has kind of taken the back burner as
it
out of the
has.
picture.
I kind of say it's like going in remission. I haven't had any of those thought processes in a while. Probably since I started maintaining back in late fall before Thanksgiving. I haven't had a really bad train of thought in a while, and that's huge. I haven't gone this long in a long time, and this is a really realistic way for me to move forward, because when I maintained, I didn't stick to the RP template for the new base, which is your maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that. I just kind of ate their protein guidelines. I made sure I ate veggies every meal. And then I kind of filled in the gaps as needed. I didn't focus on calories. I didn't focus on my carbs or my fats. I just ate in a way that was conducive to me mentally and physically. Hitting the veggie and protein requirements were the big thing, because that makes you feel good. I mean, when you're eating that many vegetables in a day, it's hard not to. And this wasn't a huge change in terms of how I eat day to day. That was a big reason Austin said, "Hey, let's give this a try. I think it's going to be really easy for you," because I do gravitate toward leaner meat. I do eat a lot of veggies. I eat a lot of fruit, and I don't really go for high fat foods. That's just my eating pattern naturally. That's how I gravitate. So it's not an unrealistic way for me to do long term. I can do this for this foreseeable future for a really long time. And I've got 3.5 weeks left on this particular cut. I haven't moved past the second phase of their fat loss, which is the second to last. I'm holding off on that until the last 2 weeks. I may not do it at all, because that final phase is really kind of brutal. You lose pretty much all your carbs, and you're just eating protein and veggies and fat at night.
I'm on my last 3.5 weeks as well.
Ah, well, everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
I'm more laid back in terms of my goal. I'm not focused on, I need to hit this number to be happy like I was last time. I was kind of like, I have to get to this point. 'Cause 120 pounds was my fixated number. I need to hit that to be happy before I stop. And when I did, I stopped. That was the executive decision. I don't need to push beyond that mentally right now. I just need to go and maintain. And after this, I'm going to continue to maintain for probably 2 or 3 months. I'm going to take a long break and not focus on another goal. Just hold steady where I'm at. I've got my wedding, I've got receptions, I've got a bunch of crap happening. So I don't need to focus on that for the time being. But probably mid-August, we made the plan for me to mass through RP. We bought both plans, the fat loss and the massing template for my height and weight, because despite the fact that I've lost almost 20 pounds, I'm still in that lowest bracket, so it doesn't matter. There's no new template for me to buy. I just have to keep using the same one over and over. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to continue using the physique template, because I'm really loving that. I didn't use it last round, but I started using their female physique template 6 weeks ago. Right after I started this cut, and it's been amazing. I have never seen physical progress visually like this, and it's an amazing program. I don't know about the men's template. Austin won't use it because he's a picky butt, but for me, it's been fantastic. I mean, I've got amazing stamina. It's balanced. Before I did the physique template, I did a 5-week program through Prescript, which is written by chiropractors. And I did their mobility and stability programs and the lower body reset, which really focus on alignment and form and stability throughout a lift. It was a lot of accessory work with compound lifts, mainly just the big three and a bunch of accessories and calisthenics, which if you have poor form or back pain or hip pain of any kind, it's amazing. It was so simple, but it was really challenging and I really enjoyed it. And I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So for me, having that stability in my joints is critical, because if I don't have good form, something will dislocate and it will be a bad time. So that was a really great lead in to the RP template, because the physique template is hypertrophy. So it's high volume, medium to low weight, and a hell of a lot of reps. It's one of the rare instances where you get high carb days on RP.
Oh, those are probably really good days.
Oh, they're glorious. It's worth it just to get the carbs, because it's 25 sets or more of 10 reps or more. So you're just done.
Yeah, you're annihilating yourself.
I was going from 6 days a week, and now I'm only doing 4 days a week, and it's been amazing. I only go 2 days during the work week, which is hugely beneficial to my stress level. So it's really nice seeing the changes. I'm getting abs.
Oh, yeah?
I almost fainted seeing that in the mirror the other day. I was like, are you kidding me? This might actually happen. I joked saying, hey, I might get abs this time, but it actually might happen. Who knew? But it's really.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever see abs. I mean, there may be a day when I finally do. I don't know, but I'm just doing one day at a time.
It would be amazing, but also I like cookies and tacos, so
that's the other problem. If you like those, then chances are you might see one ab for a day and then it'll go away.
Yeah, they come and they go. It's a love-hate thing, but.
So Emily, what would you say was your support system from the beginning? Would you say, did you have a support system only through your fiance, soon-to-be husband, your friend from Avatar? Are those your only two supports? Did you have any other support?
I mean, the women's group has been great. I mean, Connie knows. It's so supportive, and we're all pretty much in there giving each other hell in the best possible way, and sharing experiences. And that's how we all there's so many of us doing RP right now that it's kind of this bonded sisterhood of, oh my God, we're all having a rough day, let's bitch about it. But Austin's a major part of it, and people think I talk about him all the time, but I might well have been dead. I mean, if he hadn't, I met him in the deepest part of my eating disorder.
How'd you meet him, by the way?
Tinder.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He lived in Bodunk Nowhere, St. Leo, Florida, and I lived in Orlando. So without the internet, we never would have met. There was no way. No way.
What was that? You swiped right? No way.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a mutual right swiping. We talked on Tinder for months before we even met, but it fit.
Were you still wearing a costume?
I was leaving Disney when we met. Like, I met him in person the day I interviewed for Hilton. So
I see.
It was a big transition period. So he started pulling me out of it, but it really took shape and root when we finally moved in together in early 2016, after being long distance for a long time. Mm-hmm. And him getting me into lifting, and he introduced me to all these female role model lifters, like Marissa Inda, Steffi Cohen, Heather Connors, who are my size. Mm-hmm. And crazy strong. And that really helped reshape my view of what a woman could be, what beautiful is. And now I want to be bigger. I want to be stronger. I want to lift more. I don't care if I'm skinny. I want to lift more. But balancing it in a way that especially those three women do, where it's, you want to look good, but also you want it to be the dreaded word, functionally aesthetic.
I hate that word.
I hate that word so much.
This is functional.
Yeah, so is a can opener, but it's not exactly an attractive thing. But especially in the last few years, seeing women really stepping into the focus of strength and powerlifting and strong women, and it being more of a mainstream thing. You have these role models who have a presence that you can communicate with and who have knowledge. I mean, Steffi Cohen is a PhD. She knows her stuff. She has her own programs that are amazing, and she promotes such a positive viewpoint. And having somebody like Austin to lead me down that path away from everything that I thought was right to here's something else. It's still going to be hard. It's still going to take some focus, but you can fixate on things in a positive way, because I still have OCD. I still have all these other mental fixations on stupid little things.
Well, unfortunately, those things just don't go away for
They
a while.
never go away. They never go away. And it's, finding a way to use that energy that I devote to the tics and the fixations and redirecting it, taking the river and recharting the course where it will, instead of being destructive, be a productive tool for me to funnel into an activity I enjoy, which
smart.
It's been huge, and I have a lot of hobbies now, but it has helped mentally, and lifting in particular
Keeps you occupied.
It does. It takes your whole focus. It's your whole body, your whole mind. You don't think. And that hour or hour and a half, however long I'm in the gym, I'm not worried about work. I'm not worried about how I look, how I feel, what the scale says, what I need to get to the grocery store. It's okay. This is the weight on the bar. I need to move it. I need to move it this many times. And I need to not hurt myself while doing it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do this thing. And that's been really revelatory. And I think a lot of women would benefit from pursuing it. And there are more women lifting now. I mean, even in my gym, which is, like Globo Gym, but it's amazing. Seeing women, I met a woman who's a 60-year-old power lifter who just got into this 4 years ago. This is something that it can change your life if you learn to do it and you pursue it, and you learn to combine not just what you hear on the internet with what little you know. You need to pursue an expert. You need someone who knows what they're talking about. And for me, that was kind of why RP was the obvious choice. I mean, they've got 20-something advanced graduate degrees and PhDs. I mean, if you're going to do it, who would you rather trust? Somebody who got their certification online or somebody who has dedicated a decade to this? And it's not that there's invalidity in people who do this on a small scale, but it's apples and oranges. You can't compare the knowledge base of somebody who does this as a side business or a hobby to someone who has dedicated decades to this. So it's learning to put your trust in the right places. I think we all got fooled by a few online sources in the past. I mean, we all fell for the lines, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be true, but long-term results among a large group of people, the sample size matters. I mean, I come from a marketing background, so that's what I always try to come back to. It matters what they're drawing their data from. 50 people versus 500 people is going to be a different result. So it's hard in the sea of BS that's out there right now to find what's real, but credentials don't lie. They generally don't, at least. I like to think at least.
You'd like to think at least. I mean,
Use your powers for good, not evil.
There you go. You know what I'd be really interested in is following up on you on how the whole mass gainer works out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to nail down the timeline. I'm trying to coordinate it with our traveling wedding roadshow. But I really want to get it started before the fall and do a long, slow mass gain through them because I looked at the templates and I do not want to do that fast because those calories go up fast. But it is going to be exciting to see, especially as I go from less of a physique focus to a strength focus. The goal is to enter a powerlifting contest by 30. So I've got a couple years to work with.
And when's the wedding? September?
May 4th.
Wait, why did I get September? Oh, you know what? Because that's when we were married.
I have a reception and our honeymoon in September, but
Oh, is that what it is? Okay,
Yeah.
Connie was telling me, okay, that's what it is. Your wedding's coming up, but
It's
your
like-
reception is going to be later.
yeah, we have 2 receptions because our 2 interstate families can't agree on anything. So we just did 2. Everyone's happy.
You said the wedding's going to be in the mountains or the reception's in the mountains?
The wedding is in the mountains, really small, and then we have a reception here where we live in Georgia from my family and all my friends and Austin's friends that live in Atlanta. And then we go north to
Nice.
Ohio in September for part 3 of the roadshow.
Well, Emily, it's been really fun to talk with you. I mean, not that talking about anorexia and all that's fun, but I mean, it's just been,
As
you know,
fun
most,
as it can be.
this conversation has gone from fun to serious to fun and crazy to serious. It's been one of the, it's been one of those interviews that's been all over the place, and I've enjoyed
Yeah.
it so much. And I really do enjoy talking to you.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll follow up once I start the mass gainer, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay. All right. Well, to the rest of you all out there, you keep setting your goals and you keep at it.